Hey there, friends. Fritz here, and I want to talk to you about a little problem that I solved and something I got to show off and use a little bit while I was at a conference last week. I've always struggled with business cards. How do I handle them? How many do I carry with me? What do I do with them? What's the right material to put on them? There's a solution for this. I wanted to generate QR codes that have my contact information, my virtual business card embedded on them, so I could make it a background on my phone and just share that at an event. What an easy idea. And a couple of our friends out there, a couple of our vendor friends in the ecosystem can help us out with this. They've got a couple of tools that we can stitch together to make a very interesting solution. So I brought together some tools from IronSoftware, their Telerik UI for Blazor. I brought together the IronSoftware IronQR code writer so that I could generate a QR code, customize it a bit with some of the tools that I have available to me from that Telerik UI with Blazor. Let me show you what I put together in just a few easy steps over here in a Blazor application. I'll head over to the code. So here we go. Look at that. We've got a QR code on screen. I didn't even take the default template stuff off of this. I just got it running and started working with the components that were available. So I've got an IronQR code there. I've got a couple of Telerik color pickers, and I've got a bunch of other form fields to help me build my virtual business card. Let me show you some of the features that I put in here and how we can take advantage of those tools that were built for us. So I've got a QR code that's set up to bind automatically to get properties from the fields that are on screen. So if I want to change my background color, I like a nice purple color for my QR code in the background, so I can come up here in the gradient and select that. I get a nice purple background. And I can change the foreground color. There's a palette over here I can choose. And if I chose a color that's a little bit too close, right, that's pretty close. The camera might not be able to find the difference, but if I get even closer and it's not quite enough contrast, it'll throw an error that says, hey, you've chosen a couple of colors that are a little bit too close and cameras aren't going to be able to read your QR code properly. So I put a nice error message there. But really, I want white on purple. That's a cool combination there. And I can browse and add a logo. So I'll choose this fine rainbow bearded fella, and it gets bound and placed in the middle there. I'll scroll down, and we'll compress this just a little bit so you can see more of these fields I'm going to work with. And I'll start filling in my name over here. And I'll key in a title here. And so on and so forth. And I'll make sure that I key in my web address is x.com /Fritz. And as I was updating those values, it was updating the QR code for me in the background. Really cool stuff that Blazor with data binding and some advanced controls can give us so that we can immediately see the benefits of what we're keying in and interacting with. Let me show you a little bit of the source code about how this all fits together. I'll go on over to Visual Studio and show you the sample code. So here's my QR code generator component. And you see right away, I've got a Telerik color picker for that foreground color, and I've got it configured with that palette view and that gradient view, and it's going to return values in RGB format. That way I can exchange it with my QR code component so that I get accurate colors painted on that component for me. I've got a similar color picker down here for my background color. I use a standard input file component in this case. And then I have a QR code component that I built that sits here that wraps all the interactions and configuration I need for the IronQR code writer that'll update and paint the screen appropriately. I'm passing in a V card here so that it knows exactly the personal information that I want to share on my virtual business card. A V card is a standard that will allow you to share a contact record that can be picked up and read by phones and other devices that scan QR codes. And you see my other fields down here. I'm just using standard HTML input types, but I'm binding to a property of that vCard down here that I've called myCard. And there it is. And I've got it configured with a handful of the fields that I need in order to pass along and share in that QR code. Additionally, if you scroll down just a little bit further, you see the bytes for the logo image, and when the logo was selected, it goes and resizes, make sure it's the right size, and passes that byte array in so that it can be handled and presented on the QR code. Let's head over to the QR code component. And over here, you see I'm outputting an image with a data source hooked up to it in the source field. I didn't want to write any files to disk or anything like that. So after I read my properties here, I can set up my QR code component right here, input that license from IronSoftware, and set up some options, error correction levels, the style, and when I do have a logo, that byte array that's being passed in, send that in as a bitmap to the QR logo that'll be bound and displayed on that QR code. I have some colors that I can configure here, and I also write that information for my vCard right there into the QR code. Finally, I save it into a bitmap here, and then output that bitmap as a collection of base 64 encoded bytes that'll be painted inside that image tag, and then we'll have our QR code right there on screen. It's a great solution to a problem that I think we all have. And I was able to do it with a couple of components that I was able to get for free to use from our friends from Progress Software and IronSoftware. Make sure you check out the free trial from our friends at Progress Software. Head on over to telerik.com/blazor-ui and get their free trial, 30 days free for you to check out their components. And make sure you check out the IronQR component from our friends at IronSoftware. It's a free download. It's a NuGet package that you can install, and then you configure a license, and you have 30 days to interact with it. And they even give you access to their full support mechanisms they have out there, including chatting with their engineers, their support engineers. You can get hold of them as quickly as 30 seconds. I had a question, I sent it over to them in an email, and they responded to me so quickly. It was great. And I was able to build and deliver my little QR code that I needed to share my information with folks at a conference. Thanks so much for watching. It was great being able to stitch these pieces together from components that folks in our community have built. I hope you click that notification button down below, click that bell, and subscribe so that you can join me on other episodes where I'm talking about how you can use more of these .NET components together to build some really cool solutions. Thanks so much for watching.